Russia says it is punishing Ukraine for what it calls a terrorist attack in Russia's Bryansk region, which borders Ukraine, last week. In the attack, Moscow used kinzhal hypersonic missiles, an unprecedented number which Ukraine has no way of shooting down. Take a look at this report.
It's hard to say. It doesn't make sense to me how this can be in the 21st century. They are some kind of wild people, savages.
In fact, it's scary, but only anger. I do not know what to say.
Missiles rained down on Ukraine as Russia unleashed its largest airstrike in weeks, causing power outages across the war-torn nation. Ukraine's military says Russia fired 81 missiles and 8 drones. Moscow now says that it fired hypersonic kinzhal missiles. These missiles are the next generation of arms and can travel at exceptionally high velocities. The missiles can travel around 11,000 kilometers per hour, which is nearly 9 times the speed of sound. 6 of these missiles, which Ukraine cannot intercept, were launched. For months, Russia has been pummeling key facilities in Ukraine with missiles and drones, disrupting water, heating and electricity supplies to millions of people. Residents in Kyiv woke up to yet another deafening attack, something that has become a never-ending nightmare over the last 12 months.
I'm fed up with it. Can't withstand all this. How can they do this? How is this possible? They are not humans. I don't know what to call them. They are frightening. The children, their mental state will be disrupted.
We
didn't sleep anymore. We were at home somewhere around 6:40 or 6:45 and then it exploded. We went to the yard. People were injured. They helped. First aid kits were handed out from the cars.
Similar scenes are seen in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, which was left without running water and heating after 15 missiles hit the region. The attacks have also endangered the Russian-held Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine. It lost all external power supply and is relying on diesel generators, a last line of defense to prevent meltdown from overheating of reactor fuel.
Let me remind you, this is the largest nuclear power station in Europe, operating for the 6th time under emergency diesel generators. What are we doing?
Moscow says its campaign of targeting Ukraine's infrastructure far from the front is intended to reduce its ability to fight. Kyiv says the airstrikes have no military purpose and aim to harm and intimidate civilians. A war crime.
For more on this story, we're now joined by Glenn Diesen from Oslo. He is the Professor of International Relations at the University of Southeastern Norway. Thanks very much, Mr. Diesen, for joining us here on WION. Now, Russia has issued a statement saying that the massive missile strike on Ukraine is essentially in retaliation against the cross-border raid by the Ukrainians. How do you see this?
Well, this is quite possible. I think they would like to make a point out of this attack into Bryansk region where children were killed. That being said, they would probably have launched a similar attack anyways, because there is a continuous effort to degrade the infrastructure, which is quite common in wartime. This is similar what NATO did against Yugoslavia in '99 or the US against Iraq in 2003. So it has a dual purpose. I guess the main purpose would be to prevent or weaken infrastructure, which is used to move troops around, but also has a secondary effect, which is to demoralize the population, to destroy the economy. But because it has a military function, it doesn't necessarily fall under war crimes. But nonetheless, it causes immense amount of difficulty and problems for the civilian population.
No doubt it does. Now, Russia this time used new hypersonic missiles, which Ukraine's air defense systems cannot shoot down, which has led to renewed pleas by Kiev for better air defenses. Do you think there will be more help coming in soon for Kiev?
Yeah, well, the United States and Britain especially, but as well as other European countries, are quite eager to keep the war going, it seems. So I think that the weapons will keep pouring in. Also, there is the last peace proposal, which came from China, was immediately shut down by NATO countries. So I don't think there's any preparedness for discussing peace yet. So for that reason, I think the only alternative is keep sending weapons. But in terms of air defense, I'm not sure if any air defense system will be able to take down these hypersonic missiles of Russia, which again, a key purpose for developing them was to circumvent this missile defense system that NATO was building.
Well, this certainly sounds like a new challenge for Ukraine. But finally, Mr. Deason, with the lull in attacks recently, there were questions being raised about whether Russia was running short of ammunition. But now we've seen 81 missiles were used in a single night. Does this mean Moscow is clearly raising the stakes in this war?
Well, there's a mutual escalation, but I think Russia uses its missiles. It seems to me, but there's no way for me to confirm. It seems to me to be aligned with what Russia can produce because they have a huge production capacity. So they don't want to run short and empty their stocks. So it appears that they launch the missiles as they are produced without dipping too deep into their storages. So it depends. I think Russia will strike more and more infrastructure as this conflict escalates. The West keeps giving heavier weapons with longer range, and Russia will continue to destroy more infrastructure and take more territory. So this is kind of how the escalation is going, and neither NATO or Russia seems prepared to de-escalate at this time.
All right, Glenn Deason, thanks very much for sharing your perspective with WION.
My pleasure.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.